Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Rob. I'm going to share my screen. Just give me one moment here. I think, can everybody see that little slide there?
Yep,
All right,
you're
so,
good.
okay, perfect. All right, so let me just give just a quick introduction. My name is Ben. I'm the CEO and the founder here at Ellii, and I'm joined by Kylie and Anthony, also from Ellii. And Kylie is one of our teacher trainers, and Anthony is one of our customer support staff. So in case you didn't hear earlier, they will be answering questions in the chat. I probably won't see the chat once I get going. So you can put your chat questions in there, and Kylie or Anthony can answer. And maybe Kylie, you can jump in if there's something that you think I need to answer right away from one of the questions, if it's relevant to the sort of the topic I'm on. And if not, if it's something different, we can answer at the end. So we'll probably do about 10 minutes of questions at the end from 11:50 if you're on Central Time is when I'll start doing question time if you want to jump on then. And also we are going to stay on longer past the hour for anybody that has more questions afterwards if we don't get through them all. So we'll stay for as long as you would like and for as long as that we are welcome. All right, so just a little bit of background about Ellii. So Ellii is, where's my slideshow? How do I get to the next page here? I don't, oh, there it is.
You're muted right now, Ben.
Was I muted the entire time or just for a second there?
Just for a moment there, but I would go back to the beginning of sharing about Ellii.
Okay, that's so strange. I don't know how I became muted. I didn't click the mute button. Maybe somebody accidentally muted me. In any event, so I'm not sure how far back I got muted, but let me just say that Ellii is well, I don't know where we left off, but I'll just start by saying what Ellii is. Let's just go into that. So Ellii is a content platform at its core. We're a library, essentially, a digital and printable library of materials. And we're a platform specifically designed for English teachers. We have been around for about 23 years. So this is a little bit about ourselves. So we're a subscription content platform for English teachers. I started building the site back in 2000, a long time ago, and I was able to launch the site in 2002 when it was just myself, just one employee at the company. So we've been around for about 23 years now. And we're now used in more than 10,000 schools around the world. We're based in Canada, but we're still a small company. We're a small business. We're only about 35 people at the company. And even though we're based in Canada, we do most of our business, not most of our business, but the biggest cohort of schools that use Ellii are in the US. So about 40% of the customers are in the US who use Ellii, and the other 60% are sort of spread out all over the world. That just gives you a bit of a background on who we are. And we are, our headquarters is in Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is right above Minnesota. And so we come down to Minnesota quite a bit. All right, so Ellii is a teacher-centric platform. And Ellii Solo, which we're also going to be talking about today, is an Ellii companion. So we just built that recently. And Ellii Solo is designed for self-study and self-initiated learning. And today we're going to focus on 6 things for our training to try to get you familiar with both platforms. And so these are the 6 things that we're going to go over today. We're going to go over finding relevant materials because it's a big, massive library of content, and there's a lot of stuff that's relevant to your classes. There's a lot of stuff that won't be relevant, and I want to show you how to find the stuff that is relevant and most relevant to your needs. And then we're going to focus on organizing materials into classes and folders a little bit so that you can stay organized with the content that you find and be able to access it quickly and administer it quickly. And then assigning materials to your students. So we're going to look a little bit at how to move lessons into a class and assign them to your students if you would like to use them digitally. We're also going to look a little bit at grading and feedback. So you can get an understanding of how our grading tools work and how our feedback works, and how to find and export reports like time on task and grades. And finally, we'll look at Ellii Solo too, and sort of the differences of Ellii Solo versus Ellii and how that functions. So that's what we're going to be focused on today. Kylie, if I become muted again for some reason, please jump in like right away and either unmute me if you can, or just jump in and let me know. Okay, so we are going to look at Ellii now. So all of you should have accounts. Some of you don't. I think there's some people from some other organizations that don't, but anybody from Literacy Minnesota will have accounts to Ellii and should have already received them, or if you haven't, you'll be receiving them soon. When you come to Ellii, I'm going to log out here. You land on our landing page of ellii.com, and then you can just simply log in as a teacher or a student. I'm going to log in as a teacher. Everyone can see my email address there. And the first thing that happens when you log into Ellii is you land on a Discover page, what we call our Discover page. Now, by the way, just yesterday, we made some changes to our navigation. I'm going to talk about those changes in a moment. But first, let's just talk about the Discover page. So the Discover page is a place where you can find ready-made content, but stuff that is timely and relevant or new. So every day or every couple of days at Ellii, we create new materials and add new materials to the site. It's an ever-expanding library. When we started the platform 20-something years ago, there was only 40 lessons on the site. There's more than 3,000 lessons on the site today. And a big reason for Ellii's popularity is that there's stuff that's like timely and relevant and coming to market all the time. So unlike a textbook or even some software packages, Ellii is always putting out new material, and often it relates to things that are going on today. So sometimes we'll just feature up at the top here something new. We've put out some new videos lately, so we're featuring them. But if it happened to be a holiday, maybe Halloween, this banner would be a link to all of the content around that holiday. So this banner is changing all the time. We're going to recommend material from time to time, maybe because something happened in the news, or maybe because it's baseball season. So we're recommending content around baseball. Jane Goodall died recently, and so we've got a lesson on her in our famous people section. So there's different reasons why we might feature something here. It either might be new or it might be featured for a reason. We're featuring this real world reading section because we happen to be making a lot of new content here. And then we also have a tool called Ellii Dilemmas, which we're not going to get into today, but it's sort of like Kahoot, where students pull out their phones and they can interact with answers, and the results get displayed on the board, and then everybody can talk about those results. We have a partnership with the Associated Press, and we always feature a new lesson each week based around one of their news articles. So we have the rights to take any of their articles and or their videos and write lessons around them. So this is a great way to teach English by using real authentic materials. And that's really the only section on the site where Ellii is not creating entirely its own content. We're leveraging someone else's article, in this case, the Associated Press. So we're featuring some lessons there. And then down at the bottom, this is our always here on the Discover page. It's our What's New banner. And if you click it, it's going to take you to a list of all the stuff that we've added over the past year or so. So you can see everything that's new. If you click into October, there's probably nothing in here, or there's a few lessons in here. So we've updated the Jane Goodall one, and we've added some new lessons. But if you click into September, for example, you're going to see just how much new material has been added or was added last month. These are all new lessons and videos and flashcard sets all added last month. So how do you get to those? I'm going to go back again to the landing page. You scroll to the bottom, you click what's new, and you just can click into the month to see what we've added recently. That's the Discover page. Now, at its core, Ellii is a content library, as I keep saying. And so I want to focus first on how to find relevant materials that you can use in the classroom. We've got a large range of materials. And Ellii is used by both teachers who teach young learners and K-12 students, but also teachers who teach adults. The bigger market for us that we sell to is adult teaching, but there is a lot of material on here for young learners as well. And so if you're not teaching young learners, you can sort of omit or just avoid or ignore those. All right. Up at the top, we have what's called our universal menu, which we call the everything menu. And this was just updated yesterday. We didn't have this before. There were various things at the top. We've combined them all into one menu called the everything menu. And the everything menu is where you find anything. So anything that you're looking for, whether it's classes and folders or content, is all under everything. So just one button now. And next to that is our search tool. So if you're searching for something specific, you need something, let's say on simple present, I can just click in there, simple present. and it will come right up, and I can just jump to it and I can find all the results here for materials related to simple present. Or maybe I need something related to health, so I might type in doctor. And then you can see there are 50 results related to doctor that show up here, flashcards and lessons. And you can filter and sort here by just lessons or just flashcards or videos up at the top. So that search tool up at the top is really useful and really handy for searching for anything. Okay, let's go ahead and click on the everything menu and see what comes up here. All right, we've got a few things on the everything menu. We've got sort of a sidebar on the left, which is accessing your classroom, your folder. Classroom is both your classes and your students, and your folders and your flashcard sets. We'll come to those a little later. And then up at the top, there's a link back to Discover, the page we were just on. And over in the middle here area is our materials. So we've got different types of materials. We've got lessons, we've got videos and flashcards. And we've also got resources like assessments and warm-ups and games and activities, and those are inside of lessons as well. If you had come to the site yesterday or before yesterday, you would have seen these divided up a little bit differently, but this is how it looks and feels now. So we're going to dive into the way that the new style is. All right, so let's start by looking at lessons, because lessons are really the core of what make up what Ellii is. Now, when you click to the lesson sections, you're going to see that we divide our lesson sections into different genres like life and work, or grammar, or adult literacy. And all of these are sort of filter tags for genres of material. And those genres are listed below here. Here's topic based. So these are things like discussion starters, or that's news to me. That's the Associated Press material, famous people. Another genre is life and work, things like everyday dialogues, going to the bank, going to the post office, real world readings. Those are hard to say. Things like reading a street sign or reading a check, or reading an invoice, living in English. That's another genre, life and work. Grammar is another genre. So things like grammar practice worksheets or grammar stories. Adult literacy, like English basics or word bank. Another one is vocabulary and pronunciation. So again, word bank is in there, simple sentences, phonics stories, etc. And you can just keep scrolling through these academic. If you're using CASAS in your program, there's the CASAS test preparation under assessments. And it goes on and on. So those can all be accessed by clicking, those genres can all be accessed by clicking any of these tags up at the top to just jump to them. If you need something on grammar, there we go. Topic, life and work, topic based. So you can just sort of click around up at the top to find stuff that's relevant. You need some assessments. There's some assessment and reflection material or some CASAS prep test exercises. They're all in here. But when you land on here by default, you're going to see all of these. So what I want to do is I want to click into 3 or 4 different lesson sections so I can show you the range of different types of lessons. And then we'll go into how to assign those lessons and how to sort of organize that content. So right now, I'm going to start with some higher level stuff and then work back and show some stuff for lower level. So I'll click to topic based. There's so many great materials in here, so many great lessons in here, news based or just like cultural lessons of famous people, famous places, famous things, health matters or historic events, sports and leisure, where students learn about the history of a sport while reading, while improving their reading skills and learning vocabulary at the same time. I'm going to click into discussion starters first. And once you go into a section, typically the same thing's going to happen within any section. So discussion starters is a section. And you can see at the top, there are category tags to sort of like filter that section down to some specific things. So in this case, I'm in discussion starters, and maybe I just want discussion starters about food. So I'll click food and it will filter down and just only show me the stuff about food, like food labels, like the sugar industry or ocean garbage, vanishing honeybees, etc. Or maybe I want something about money. So teacher salaries, weddings, staycations, dream jobs, debt, tuition fees, a whole bunch of topics on money, consumerism. Maybe I need something on community. So things like roommates or importance of community or staycations or road rage, so many different topics, right? So you can just click to any of these tags up at the top whenever you're in here, and you can get to a lesson quickly. On the right side are our level filters. Now, right now, I'm in a section that only has low, intermediate to advanced. So that's why there are only these filters in there. There are no lessons in this section that are lower than low intermediate. If there were, you would see another filter for that. So you're going to see the filters that relate to whatever lessons exist within that section. In this case, because it's discussion starters, it focuses on more higher levels and it goes only as low intermediate. So if I click that, it will hide away all of the advanced level lessons and the upper intermediate level lessons and just show me low intermediate lessons by clicking that. If I want to get back to no lessons, I just simply click no filters. I just click that X there to get rid of them. So I want to look for a specific lesson. There was one here that came in recently that we added recently on AI art. It's a new lesson that we put up last week or a couple of weeks ago, and I think it's a pretty interesting topic to use with my higher level students to just discuss this idea of the relevancy of AI art nowadays and whether there's creativity in it and whether there's still any human component to it or whether we can still appreciate art if it was made by AI. So it's an interesting thing to talk about and to get students talking. So you can see that this is an NRS level 4. I'm going to show you in a few minutes how you can change your level systems if you're using the CEFR levels, if you're using the ELD levels. There's a way to change those. In a moment, I'll show you, but right now I've got mine set to the NRS levels. When I land on a lesson page, typically there are two styles of lessons, a digital version and a print version. Now, not all lesson sections have both. There are a few sections that only have print, and there are a few sections that only have digital, but most sections have both print and digital. So you will find from time to time there's only a PDF button or there's only a launch digital tasks button, but most of the time, no. When I come to this page, I can see a little bit of a description about the lesson here, the level, who it's for. I can access the two buttons to access the lesson. Down below, I can find some related materials too. So maybe I want to do a collection of materials related to this, and I can find down here some other lessons that are relevant to this topic. I can see the vocabulary that we're going to focus on and just the focus in general here before I go into it. Now, let's look at a lesson. So I'm going to open up this lesson right here, and you can see that this is the PDF version. We've got annotation tools, and I think this was involved in some of the training that you received already, the slideshow training. So I won't go into too much detail about this, but there are tools and annotations down the side that you can use to draw and write on the document if you are sharing it in front of the class. And typically, even if it's a PDF, there will be audio that goes with the PDF if there happens to be a reading. And in this case, there does. So there's the audio that goes with the PDF. So even if you printed and photocopied and used this lesson with your students that they have on paper, you could still bring up the audio in front of the class and even use it for something like down here. I'm going to go to this listening exercise where they are going to use pen and paper to listen and then fill in the blanks with their pens. So that's the printable version. In the digital form here, often our digital lessons come with a warm-up video where somebody is explaining the topic or getting people interested in the topic by talking a little bit about it. Then there are digital exercises where you might want to use the content in front of your class. Maybe we would call on our students in front of the class and say, unlike any other. And then I might call out to my students, can any of you think of a word up here that would match the definition unlike any other? They might call out unique, and I can click on that and put it into that box there. And we can try it all together as a class. So you can use these digital tools either to assign to your students that they do on their own devices, or you can bring it up in front of the class. In this case, we got 1 out of 5 correct. We can review our answers here and see how we did as a class. If your students submit it to you, which we'll go over after, you can see those results in a report afterwards. Many different types of task types, multiple choice, type in the blanks. There are open-ended questions where students have to type a full sentence or paragraph. And then there are closed questions like matching exercise like we just did. All of our readings, anytime there is a reading on a lesson or in a lesson, we have an option down at the bottom to embed immersive reader. Now, if you're not familiar with immersive reader, this is the little icon for it down here. It's a little book with a audio symbol, and it's a really a useful way to deliver readings to your students in a more accessible way. So I'm going to click on this right here. It now takes that reading and it converts it to immersive reader format. And that gives you some tools to do different things, like to change the font size here, or to increase the spacing or not. So right now, increased spacing is on, but maybe I prefer it to be like this, or maybe I do want that increased spacing. Maybe I want some focus here. So I want to focus on nouns, or I want to focus on verbs, or parts of, or adjectives. So you can focus on these different parts of speech here by highlighting them, or you can focus on syllables here. So I clicked on syllables and you can see David is two syllables, right? Tools is one syllable. Amazed is two syllables right here. So that breaks that up. So lots of things that you can do within here. There's also some translation tools in here, which we're not big fans of translation in language learning, but they are there if you need them. So that is Immersive Reader, and you can always get there from a reading by clicking this little Immersive Reader tool here. So lots of different task types on here. I want to go and show you just some different types of lessons now as well. So I'm going to go back to the everything menu. I'm going to click on lessons again, and I'm going to click into this vocabulary and pronunciation section here where, no, that was not the one that I wanted. Just a moment. Life and work. Yes, life and work. So real world readings. That's very hard to say. It's sort of a tongue twister. Try to say it. Real world readings. So here, just to give you an example of like sort of a contrast of different types of lessons, you can read about bank statements or workplace safety, internet banking receipts, text messages, work schedule. Let's look at bank statements, for example. So here, it's going to show you some basic bank statements, and then there's going to be questions and exercises that go with that. And in digital form, it will show you some vocabulary match that we're already familiar with, and then some reading that goes with it that shows you this bank statement. So that's just to give you an example of some other styles. Another style of lesson might be completely different as well. We'll go back to all sections here, and I'm going to click to activities, I think. And then here are photo prompts. So just, if you don't want a whole lesson, but you just want to do some things that are going to inspire your students to speak up in the class, and get them talking, you might want to use these photos that just elicit conversation, debate, discussion, dialogue. So maybe something like, let's do this one on surveillance here. You can see there's the photos of the week. There's what's the story. There's come to your senses, photo feuds, photos in the news. But I like this one here on surveillance. And it just says, smile, you're on camera. And you can see it starts by just simply showing you a photograph. Here, I can bring this up, and I can ask how this makes people feel. And it leads to sort of conversation and discussion. We move on to a writing where they might have to either speak as a class and talk about this, what messages or what message was the photographer of this image trying to express, what is its significance on societal level, and does it have positive or negative connotations when you see that? And then there's a talk about. So students have to talk about this either as a class or record themselves. And I'll show you how recording works shortly as well. We won't do the recording right now, but we'll get to that. And then as well, if you have pre-literacy students, for example, or low literacy students, you might go to adult literacy and click on something like First Five, where this focuses on some very basic vocabulary and focuses on just a few letters within each lesson here. So emotions or drinks or food groups. And I'm showing you this to contrast some of the different styles of lessons here. So this is for low literacy adults. And this is focusing on the 5 food groups: vegetables, fruit, grains, protein, dairy, etc. And you're just learning these words with larger fonts. And it's a great activity for lower levels. And then in digital form as well, some of our digital forms have flashcard sets that you can present in front of your class. I can click on the image to get the word. So anytime there's a flashcard set, you just click on the image and the word will come up. If you click on the word, the image will come up. And if you click on the word again, it goes away or goes down, and it just sort of goes in a loop like that. And you can play the audio there.
Vegetables.
Right. So I might ask my students, what are these? And they might call out fruit.
Fruit.
And I can say, you're right. Right. And so we can work in that way. Multiple choice, and then some speaking exercises. So a wide range of content. Now, I want to share one of these lessons with my students. So there's different ways to share content. One is to assign it to your class, and the other is just to sort of pardon me, not to share, but just to organize. One is to share it with your class, and the other is to just keep track of it. Maybe you come across a lesson that you are sure that would be good sometime with some students, but you don't know which students. You might want to put it into a folder and save it for later. Or you're sure of which class this lesson could be good for. You want to share it with your students now. So I want to look at those two things now. I'm going to click on discussion starters again. I'm going to scroll down to the media and technology and click on that AI art lesson again. If you notice, there are a couple of items up here in the top. This share one is really just to share with other teachers to let them know. It sends them a link to this lesson if you come across one that you like. But there are two main ones for staying organized. One is add to class and the other is add to folder or save to folders. So we'll look at both of those right now. The first thing is I'm going to do is I'm just going to save to folder, and a folder is like a playlist. It's like, you don't know when you're going to use it, but you just want to bank a bunch of stuff for later. So I'm going to click save to folder, and I've got a folder called conversation course. And it's for any time that I get a new course that's just a conversation course, I want to put this in there. So I can just simply click conversation course and hit save, or I can create a new folder right within here. And now that's in there. It's in that conversation course folder that I made. We'll go back and look at the folder shortly. But I also want to add this to a class. I want my students to be able to get it and access it and use it as an assignment. So I'm going to click on add to class. And when I click add to class, I'm prompted to select a class. So I've got all these different classes here. Can you see that, Kylie? Can you tell me if the drop downs work? Do you see the
It's
drop down?
working. We can see
Okay.
it.
Okay, great. So you can see the names of my classes here that I've set up and created, in which case I've created a class called Conversation, a class High Intermediate. I'm going to put it in there. And then I have sort of three areas where I can put it within that class. So you're banking it into the class. And if you put it in the prepping lane, which is the default, it's not an assignment. It's just like there front and center for when you come to that class next time. And you want to remember that there's this lesson that you want to teach in the near future. You put it in the prepping lane. We'll look at that later. Or you could put it in the teaching lane. And if you put it in the teaching lane, that means your students have automatic access to it. The next time your students log into their own devices and they click on your class, they're going to see this lesson immediately. So it's an immediate assignment. And you can also put it into saved, which is kind of like a folder within your class. It's for later. It's not in the way, it's out of the way, but it's in sort of a bucket inside of your class to get to later, so you don't forget. But I'm going to put it into prepping and I'll save it there. All right, so those are some ways to add the materials to the class. Now, I want to look at two different types of materials as well, or sort of different ways of accessing material that are not in the lesson sections. Then we're going to go look at the actual assignments in the folders, and then we will look at grading, reports, and get on to Ellii Solo. Okay, so you can see down here, there are a couple of other things here. There's collections and there's courses and study packs. So really, these are just ways of taking this content, lessons, and flashcards and putting them all into some sort of curated group so that you don't have to constantly look for one-off lessons. We'll start by looking at collections. So I can go into collections here. There's a variety of different types of collections: CASAS competencies, EL civics, US citizenship and naturalization. If I click onto EL civics, I can see some categories or some actual collections in there, like health or government and law, community resources. If I click into health here, I can see some other sort of subcategories here, like insurance or pharmacy or substance abuse or nutrition, right? And you can see there are 236 results related there. I just want something on nutrition. Now it drills down to 42. And I can also drill down to just say I want an NRS 3 level here, and it will give me 36 results. So that's a way of getting to materials quickly. So I encourage you to look through these collections here, these different collections that are available. And that brings me to another type of collection, which is called our Ventures study packs. Now, we have a partnership with Cambridge University Press. This is an add-on feature for those schools that use Ventures, Cambridge Ventures, and it's something that we added recently. And basically, these are collections of content that can be used to complement your Ventures curriculum. So if you are using Ventures, you would just, and you've added it onto your platform. I believe everybody with Literacy Minnesota has access to this. You would click on Ventures here, and you can see all of the books here that are available: Ventures Level 1, 2, 3, 4, and Transitions being the last one. I can click into that Ventures study pack area, And I can see all the units down the side. And by default, I'm seeing these study packs that are related to each unit. So maybe I'm teaching book 4, unit 4, and Ellii has gone and curated material that goes well with Cambridge Ventures book 4, unit 4. I just simply click on that. I see that there are 4 lessons here that are related to that unit. Stress and weddings are 2 of the topics in that unit. And modals of advice and past modals are also 2 of the grammar structures in that unit. So in one click, I can add this whole group of lessons as a study pack to that same class. So maybe I'm going to put that in there into prepping, and they have access there. So you can go and explore these venture study packs as well anytime to find material there. And you can dive a little deeper too, by the way. So the study packs are the most curated content. But if you click into Unit 4, for example, you'll see the study pack at the top, but there's also a whole bunch of other materials that are sort of adjacent in level or theme. They might be a little bit higher in level or a little bit lower in level, but they're adjacent in some way that you can find and use there. So those are the study packs if you're using Ventures. All right, let's take a look at courses now, courses and study packs. So as I was mentioning before, the Ellii lesson sections, they're all one-off lessons. That means that it's up to you to go and find the materials and one by one and find things that are appropriate for your students each day. But in our courses and study packs, we've curated the content into a complete course with assessments or into a group of lessons that are called study packs. So we've got, let's take a look. There's courses and packs. Let's look at courses first. So a course might be a grammar course, Grammar Groundwork 1 for low levels. And it starts with some very basic simple present be, feelings, simple present have, daily routines. The whole thing is all laid out for you with lessons and flashcard sets that you can add to a class as well. Maybe you are looking for something on workplace English. So I can click on workplace English and scroll down here. We have things like healthcare vocabulary course or English for phlebotomists, English for dental assistants, English for emergency medical technicians. These are all courses related to a specific career area, English for truck drivers and English for commercial drivers. I can click into any of these courses and I can see the titles of each lesson, introduction to driving careers, rideshare drivers, medical drivers, mid-course assessment, etc. And I want to add this whole course to one of my classes as well. And I'll put that into I should put it into my career pathways class. So I'll put that in there. But perhaps as well, I want a course, just more of a basic skills course. So I'm going to go back to all, and I'm going to grab one of my higher level grammar courses for my conversation students, Grammar Genius 2. And this looks appropriate. These causative verbs and what other grammar adjective clauses. These are all in this course. So I'm going to add this to my conversation class. I'll go ahead and put that in there in the prepping lane. So this is another way that you can find those materials. All right, now let's take a look at folders and then classes. So up in the top under everything, we've got folders down the side. Now, if you recall, I put a lesson into the conversation course. I put the AI lesson in there. I also put it into a class, but I also put it into this folder here. These are all my folders. I can move them around a little bit by dragging them up and down. And if I click into them, I can see all the lessons here. So every semester, every term, I might want to come back to these lessons and move them into a new class, but they're there for me. I can change the order too. Maybe I want to sort of create a way that I'm going to teach these things next time, like sort of build my own course. So you can just drag up and down by moving things around to teach them. Now, if I like this folder that I made, and I think it's really useful for some other teachers in my organization, who maybe teach the same level and the same types of students that I teach, maybe I want to share this folder with them. So if you're part of a group, you're going to see all the other teachers when you go to share this folder. So I can click here, share with, and if these 3 dots up at the top, and if I click share with, I'm going to see a list of all the teachers that I want to share with. So I've got John Candy and Leonard Cohen. And then there's some other teachers down here I can just select. I've already selected a few above. So you just select the teachers you want to share it with. Or up at the top, you can click share with all teachers in your school. And if you do this, so if you have a massive list of teachers, you don't have to check on and off. You can just check this. And anytime a new teacher joins your organization, they'll receive this folder and they'll be able to see it on their folders area. Where do you find your shared folders? I'm going to go back to folders here, and you can see here shared with me. So these are the ones, you can see I've shared this one, conversation course, and these are the ones that have been shared with me from other teachers. So John Candy shared a folder with me, and Leonard Cohen shared a folder with me, right? So you can find those all there. All right, so that's sharing folders. Let's take a look at classes now before we look at reports, grading, and then Ellii Solo. All right, lots to cover. By the way, Ellii is a big, massive platform, but if you think about it in different chunks, you think about lessons being one thing, finding and accessing lessons is one, administering the content is the other, which we're going to look at now. So I click on the everything menu to find anything. And over on the side, I've got my classroom button here. Now, perhaps it should say classrooms with an S. Maybe we should change that because this is where you will find all of your classes. So I'm on Classroom here. We're not going to go over how to create a class because that was shared already in the original slideshow that most of you received. But let's just go into actually one of the classes and look at how we can organize them. So if you remember, I have this conversation class right here. And it doesn't matter what kind of class you're teaching, whether it's like low beginner, maybe it's a literacy class, maybe it's a grammar class, maybe it's a 4 skills class. I'm just using this as an example, this conversation class, to show you how our classes are laid out. When I go into this class, we have 3 lanes: the prepping lane, the teaching lane, and the taught. And we've divided it this way to make sort of that planning and prepping fun and simple and visually appealing. So everything that's in the prepping lane is the stuff that I want to do at some point in the near future with my students. This is a conversation course, and we're focusing on a few things here related to current events. I can drag stuff up and down just to sort of tell myself what I want to do next. So maybe we want to do this lesson on ocean garbage at some point in subscription economy. I just drag up and down as sort of a reference for myself to know what I want to do. Anything in the prepping lane, my students cannot see. Anything in the teaching lane, they do see. They see it when they log in. And I'm going to show you that shortly. When they log in, they will see this lesson as the assignment to do today or this week. And then there's the taught lane. And the taught lane is really useful for teachers because it gives you sort of a bird's eye view of everything you've done in the past. So this was a conversation class, and we started by talking about driverless cars. That led me to want to teach them a lesson on distracted driving. That led us to want to move on to like gaming addiction, then doom scrolling, burnout, simplicity, blue zones, cryptocurrency. And I can sort of see the flow and the progression of like how we changed topics. We eventually got onto online gambling, and then athlete salaries, minimum wage. Then we moved on to tipping. And maybe if we want to stay on this topic of like money and work and things like this, we could maybe do side hustles next. So I might want to move that up, or subscription economy, right? It's really up to you to decide what you want to do. But I feel like we've done enough on money now. So I want to sort of move on to a new topic. So I'm going to do AI art next. And I also really want them to improve their grammar. So I'm going to give them a grammar course too. So I've prepped by moving these up. All right, so those are at the top. Now let's take a look. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to share my whole screen so you can see what it looks like as a teacher and a student at the same time. So let me stop sharing, and now I'm going to share my whole screen if I can here. Desktop, share whole screen. Can you see the whole thing now, Kylie? Can you let me know if you can see
Yes,
everything?
we can.
Okay,
We can
great.
see it all. Mhm.
Okay, great. And if I make a new, whoops. Uh-oh, one moment. Am I still on, or am I muted now?
You're still on,
Oh, but my
but
camera. That's
your
so funny.
camera is a little funky.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
went to my camera on my phone. That's so funny. Everybody, just sorry, if you don't mind, just give me 1 second here to change that. Uh, it's gone to the camera that's sitting on my desk. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
I don't know
Perfect.
what I clicked to do that, but it jumped from the camera on the computer to my iPhone, staring up at the ceiling. Okay, so let's try this one more time here. I will go and make a new window. And in this window, we're going to log in as a student. And in this window, we're going to be a teacher. Now, Kylie, one more thing. Are you able to see me scrolling back and forth from one to the other?
Yes,
Okay,
we can
perfect.
see that.
Okay, great. Let me move this down. I'm going to log in here as a student. So I'll click log in as a student. And we can send you videos that will show how to create student accounts. We're not going to do that today. Uh, some of that was already shown in the previous slides that you may have received. And we will send you links to how to set up your student accounts or how to onboard them. All right, but for now, I'm just going to log in as a student so you can see what they see here. So I logged in as a student. Now, when Mariko logs in, she's going to see two doors, the Ellii door for my classes and my teachers, and Ellii Solo, which we will get to shortly. Now, some accounts don't have Ellii Solo. Ellii Solo is an add-on, but everybody with Literacy Minnesota will have access. Everybody who's part of that group has access to Ellii Solo as an add-on. If the students don't have it, they would just go directly into the classes and teachers when they log in. But if they have both, they have two doors and they have to go into one or the other, self-study or classes. So she's going to click in. Mariko will click in here. And she's got a few different classes all with the same teacher, but if she had multiple teachers, she would see the names of all the different teachers there. And this is just not a real account, so I've just got her in a bunch of the classes here. These are all the classes. You can see that conversation class has a red dot. That means for her that she's got a new assignment. These ones, she's already done the assignments. There's no red dot there. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to drag, actually, no, sorry. Let's click into conversation class. There's that lesson on tipping. Now, we did that last week when we're finished with it. So here's what the teacher does. The teacher simply drags this lesson in. And if I go back as a student, let me try to swipe back and hit refresh. And the next time she comes in, she's going to see two lessons there, AI art and tipping. And I'm going to move tipping out of the way into taught so she doesn't see it anymore. And when she comes back next time, tipping goes away and she just sees this lesson on AI art. But that's under current. It's the first thing she sees. But she can always get back to past right here and see all of the previous lessons right there. So the front and center is what you've just assigned her, and past is all the stuff before. So it becomes like this archived list of content that you can provide to your students that they can go back to anytime and do on their own. So it's a great way to set up sort of like a full curriculum for your students that they always have access to. Now, I also want my students to have this like grammar course to just do on the side. So if you recall, all of these lessons were in there. I'm going to move this whole course over to there into the teaching lane. Oops, didn't click. Okay, and drop it in there. And now Mariko will see when she comes back that there's both a lesson to do for this week, but there's also an ongoing course here. And if she clicks into that course, right now it just has the one lesson there, phrasal verbs. I'm going to go back here and show you that, in fact, all I have to do is turn on with clicking the eyeball here the lessons that I want them to see in the course. Maybe I just want them to see the first 6 and I'll give them access to the others later. So you can turn on what they have access to inside of a course. I'll hit refresh and they're all there to do. But Mariko has a more pressing thing to do. She has to do her AI art lesson. She clicks into it. She can access the PDF over here. She can start her lesson. And here is that warm-up video to watch that we were showing earlier. Here's that vocabulary task. I'm just going to do this really quickly without looking so I can show you where to find the grades and the reports and the time on task. So she does this. She finished that. She completed it and she sent it off to her teacher. And then also there was an open-ended question on here to do this personal response one. Why are some people returning to old-fashioned technology? Are you similar or different to these from these people? Let me just record this. And so this is Mariko recording herself. So she would hit record. I think a lot of people are returning to old-fashioned technology because we're just so tired of screens and so tired of everything being digital. I think I'm like these people too. I feel like I'm the same as these people, not different. I think that when we spend too much time on devices, we are less connected to humans. Okay, so something like that. That was my response. So I did that. I can delete it. I can listen to it again and then submit it to my teacher there to have access to. All right, so I will exit out of this. Now let's go look at some of the ways that you can find the reports. We're almost ready for Ellii Solo too. I need to make sure we have time to do that. So anytime there is a lesson that you've assigned inside of your classes, if you click to that lesson, so here's that lesson right here. I'm going to click on it, AI art. And anytime you open that lesson, there's going to be some things you can do inside there. I didn't show you could set a due date or leave notes and stuff for your students, but also you can access the results right here. So we did this lesson on AI art. I want to know specifically what happened for the people that did that lesson. I'll click on view results, and I can see that one student did a couple of tasks, 2 tasks. Nobody else did anything. She spent 49 seconds on task total, time on task. And if I want to get the granular details, I can click in a little deeper and see which tasks she did, which one she didn't. I can even see the results. So you just can kind of drill down to get to those. Now, that other one was an open-ended question, and open-ended questions are more difficult to find because you don't want to be clicking into every lesson and then click into every student and every assignment to go and see if a particular open-ended question was graded. So anytime that somebody sends you something that is open-ended, it's going to end up here in your grade feed with a little red dot. And anytime you see that red dot up there, you're going to have access to that. So let's go ahead and click the red dot. And you can see that here is anything that was open-ended. So Mariko submitted this, it transcribed it. I think a lot of people are returning to old-fashioned technology. That's everything that I said. Here it is. I think a lot of people are returning to old-fashioned. Not sure if you could hear that or not, but that was playing what I just recorded. It gave me a subjective grade. Maybe as a teacher, I disagree with this and think it should be a little lower. It gave some examples of feedback that I could send to my student. Maybe I disagree with this too, and I want to type over it something else. Whoops. Not sure what I just did there. Am I still online? Can you guys still hear me, Kylie?
Yep, we can still
Okay.
hear you.
Okay, I just pressed something. I'm not sure what I did there. But in any event, you can type over it, and then you can send this to your students, and your students will see this the next time they log in from a feedback area. So I can just go through all of these, and one by one, I'm issuing these grades or adjusting them. And in a matter of a few minutes every night, you can get to inbox 0 and complete that. All right. Now, last thing on grading, and then we're going to Ellii Solo. Within those classes as well, if you want to get reports like more general to just the class itself, if I go back into that class, so conversation class, by clicking into the lesson, you'll get the reports just of that lesson. But if you want reports on the whole class as a whole, you can click into details within your class anytime, and you can click on reports right here. So you go into lesson, the class, you go into details, and you go into reports. All right. From here, you can see that there are 2 ways to export the reports: participation or just activity. Like participation, I believe, is just time on task, and activity is showing what they actually did, which lessons they did, and what the scores were. And you can set the date range here. I want to see all the time spent between the 14th and the 27th. Whoops, the 14th and the 20, and let's say the 3rd. And I can hit apply, and it will show me, total time on task, and then I can export those things from right there. Okay, now I want to go back to Ellii Solo. So what is the difference on Ellii Solo? I know we were going to do questions by this time. I'm going to go a little deeper on this because my timing was off a little. I'm sorry about that. All right. When your students come and they log in, they have that access to those 2 doors, Ellii Teacher, Ellii My Classes, or Ellii Solo. This is what Ellii Solo is and looks like. So by default, a student lands on a page where the first time they arrive here, they're going to have to do a placement test. And they go in and they get placed right inside of here based on the level that they got. Now, I'm going to skip this placement test right now. But you could actually go and start it. Well, I'll start it just to give you an example of what happens here. First, it asks you to check the audio, and then it goes through with listening, grammar, and reading. And by the end of it, you've been given a score of some kind. Now, what happens with that score afterwards? Well, it places you somewhere. So I'm going to log in as a different student who's actually completed this placement test. And let's go log in with Keiko, who has. All right, so Keiko will log in. She's finished her placement test and she got placed at low beginner. So we have these pathways inside here where it's completely self-study and the students can just go study on their own. But we've directed them as to where to go. So she can't get to these higher pathways. They're all grayed out because she was given a lower level and we want to keep her on course. So she's got these 3 pathways to go into, but she can go back to a lower level, to pre-beginner, for example, and see these ones. But it's starred the level that she's on. And if she wants to retake the test, she can go to her account up here, and there's a way to retake the placement test anytime to try to move up. But for now, she's in this level. And so these pathways are typically a series of like one course and a few study packs of vocabulary. And as you progress through them, your bar grows here and you sort of get these badges inside of here. So the first is this Ellii Up 4 Skills General course that she does, and she would complete them. I've completed a few of these already as Keiko. Every time I complete one, it unlocks the next one and I get a badge for it. Once I finish this one, it unlocks that and I move on to the next one. And it helps me sort of progress in a standard order here. So it's a pathway that's directed based on your level. And once I complete that, I'll get this whole ring and this badge here. And then I could go on to this vocabulary one, another vocabulary, another one. And at the end of it, I've completed that whole pathway. And then I can move on to the next one and the next one. Typically, this might take a few weeks to sort of get through all of these and move on to the next level. But also within inside of Ellii Solo is a way for your students to just sort of navigate around themselves and be completely on their own to learn and study other things that are not inside of the pathways. The pathways are meant to keep them on a track and to go and study what they should be studying. But if they want to, they can go up to the library up at the top, and they're going to see all of our courses, all of our study packs, and they're allowed to click around from intermediate to advanced, beginner, and they can just pick something up and study at their own initiative, their own pace, take their own initiative to do any of these lessons or these courses here. They're all available to them. There are lessons on family literacy, general English, grammar, life skills, pronunciation, workplace, etc., for a whole bunch of different levels. So we leave it up to the student in this area to go and just do them on their own if they would like to. They also have access to a huge library of videos that are from the Ellii video section. They can watch these lessons that explain grammar structures or pronunciation or vocabulary. That's just for them to go and browse on their own. And finally, they can look at shorts as well that are kind of like TikTok style shorts here, where you see like what's the difference between access and access.
Hey, are you confused by the words access and excess? Let me show you the
Okay, so you get the idea here. Now, when somebody
looking for a way to
when somebody completes anything on these study packs or these pathways, this information shows back up for you as a teacher. So as a teacher, if you have Ellii Solo, if Ellii Solo has been added to your account, under everything here, and you go back to classes, you'll see this area here called Ellii Solo. And if I click into Ellii Solo, I can see just some basic general activity. So Keiko, even though I'm logged in as Keiko, I didn't actually do any lessons right now. So she hasn't done anything for 15 days, and Amir hasn't done anything for 3 months. So I can see the last time they did things. But I can also get reports here as well. So I will go to reports, and then I can export just general time on task. So these reports are just basically which courses they did and how much time was spent on them. It's not giving a deeper dive into the data. It's just basically time on task for now. New reports are coming soon, but I can set my time range. I want to see how much time on task all my students spent on Ellii Solo between September 1st and October 3rd. And unfortunately, I don't have any students right here who have done anything, but you would get the idea here that that time on task is related right there, or is displayed right there, and can be exported right here. If I go back to student progress and I just sort of want to see who's been doing what, I can click on a student here like Keiko, and I can see that she started the Ellii App course, but she hasn't finished it. She started the solo pursuits and she did finish it. So I can get sort of a bird's eye view of what they've done. Last thing I'll just tell you is that anything in Ellii Solo actually exists on Ellii 2. So it's not different content, it's the same content, it's just curated. All right, I think we should turn it over to question time. Kylie, were there some questions that came in that couldn't be answered in the chat that you would like me to bring up right now?
Yeah, I think one just came through from Jessica wondering, when a student watches an Ellii Solo video, does that time watching it count in the time on task?
So, we just discovered this recently. We thought it did, but it doesn't, or I thought it did, but it doesn't. So we're going to be adding that soon. So the next month or so, we're adding it to have it count. I'm curious to know, though, if you want that or don't want that. Is that something that's useful, or is it better to not be counting as time on task? everybody's saying yes. Okay, that's good because it will actually give a lot more time on task, I suppose, to calculate against hours that they've been working. So yes, that is coming, but right now it's not there, but we will add it. Was there another question, Kylie, that
I think all of the other questions have been addressed, but we can open it up for more at this time.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to stay on now and turn on their mics and ask questions, you can raise your hand and we can answer things. I was not able to see any of the chat that was coming in, but
Hey,
let
Ben.
me know. Hi.
Hi, there was a question that came in about assigning specific tasks from a lesson. Do you think you have a couple of minutes to show that?
Yes, and sorry, I probably should have shown that, and my timing was off today. So let me show that. I'm going to go back to the teacher side here. I'm going to go back into classes, and I'll click into conversation class. Now, just what I would like you to think about is that these cards are the assignment, and they're really powerful. So there's a few things you can do with these cards. One is you can automate them. So if I just automatically want this lesson to appear in teaching next week and then move to taught the week after, I can schedule that by going to scheduling right up here and say that I want it to move to the teaching lane. I want all my students to see it next Monday. And then the following Monday, I want it to be gone, right? So you can automate this all inside of here. But you can also set up which tasks they're going to see or not see as to your question. So when I click on that card, one of the things I see here is edit tasks. You'll notice also view student results is blued out because it hasn't been assigned yet and nobody has done anything yet. Once somebody does something, it becomes active. But below that is edit tasks. So if I click that, by default, they're all checked. But maybe I don't want them to watch the warm-up video or even the vocabulary. Whoops, I don't want them to watch that, I should say. So I uncheck those. I just want them to do the reading at home before class tomorrow and maybe the comprehension, and everything else we're going to pick up in class. So you select which ones you want. You click update and just click OK here. And now that's how it's going to be. So if you come back to here anytime, you'll see that's what it is. And they're only going to see these two tasks when they open the lesson. Was that clear? Too fast? Or did that come through okay? I'm going to open up my chat so I can see that too. Perfect. Okay, good. What other questions do we have? Anything else, Anthony?
That was the only one that was outstanding here for me, Ben. Thank you.
Okay, that's amazing. That's good. So Rob, maybe I'll turn it back over to you to let me know if we should stay on to just sort of have open discussion if anybody wants to stick around, or we should just end it here.
We can stay on as long as people would like. We don't have anything until lunchtime or till after lunch, so.
Okay, well, we'll stay on for a couple of minutes here and just see if anything pops up, or if we see people just kind of like get off of the platform here. I can see that numbers are dropping down a little bit here, so we'll stay on for a minute or so in case something comes up. And in the meantime, I'm just going to look through the chat to see if anything else came up that was earlier in the conversation. I think that maybe that's it. Everybody's moving to, or the numbers are dwindling down a little bit here.
I just have a quick question, Ben. So when we put the students in and we can add them to a class, they can automatically get Ellii solo. It's not separate, right?
If you're part of this group, the Minnesota group, yes,
Okay.
it's been included for this pilot year. So they will automatically have that when they go in.
Okay.
If it's another, because I know there's some people here that are not from this group that are just sort of watching. If they end up buying Ellii and they don't buy Ellii solo as the add-on, then they wouldn't see it, but your group would see it, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you can invite students in a couple of ways. One is manually by typing in first name, last name, and giving a username and a password. So for lower level students, we're going to be adding an ability to upload a CSV file for this soon, but for now you have to type them in manually. Or you can invite them with a class code by sharing this, and the students can go to this web page and then put in this ID here, and it will connect them to, it will allow them to create a class or create an account and get connected to your class. So there's a few different ways to add students. Also, something we just added recently, I think it's live now, you can give your students a nickname. So you could use it to, I think, is this ready now? Yeah, you can add a nickname to any student, and we're going to be making it so you can do that in a different spot too. So you can add like a student ID here if you'd like. Students don't see this nickname, it's just for yourself to add that in. So that's something that just got added recently. Okay, well, maybe we will hop off then if there are no other questions.
All right, thanks so much, Ben. I know people are really excited about Ellii, so thanks so much for presenting. And as someone said, creating it.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. We really like making this, and we're looking forward to this partnership and this pilot, this 1-year pilot for everybody to have access. So, you know, if you have, oh, actually, sorry, there is one more thing I should just mention here. For those of you who need more help, I'm just going to share my screen one more quick time here. I forgot to show this link here. When you're on Ellii's, any main page of Ellii, if you scroll to the very bottom, we have this footer down here. And this footer has help docs under support. And if you click to help docs, that's where you could type in something like classes. Okay, and then it's like how to use Ellii, sorry, how to share a class, how to create a class online on Ellii. And then maybe you can type in like students, and then it will tell you how to invite students to Ellii with a class code or with an email address. And these will typically have a video showing you how to do that, like a walkthrough, and then some screen shares too. Now, we haven't updated our little navigation menu at the top, so these are all being updated soon, but the rest of it is all the same. All right, thank you, Rob. And thank you, everybody else. Thank you, Rebecca, and to everybody else who joined here today. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you. Bye-bye.